The voice wants to talk to us, but we just have to make space for our inner wisdom, because that's what connects us, I believe, not only to our purpose and our path, but to, if there is a greater, God and universe, to hear that voice clearly. And people can name it whatever they want. I'm not saying, hey, call it this or that, but just being open and then saying, once it comes to you a couple times, because it does usually, right? It'll come in a dream and then it'll be like, I should go there. And maybe why am I friends with that person, or whatever the things are. If it keeps showing up, you got to act. Sometimes we get then too dreamy or whimsical about the voice instead of going, cool, what's the scaffolding? What's the framework? What are the steps? What is the plan, the strategy that I build around that? It's sort of, I believe, highly spiritual. And then we're living in this world.
We live in a complex and ever-changing world, a place that is maybe harder than ever to successfully navigate. The answer is surely to be brave, but it's also to seek and be open to guidance. Mentors are the one consistent through line in the lives of all accomplished people, myself included. So welcome to Mentor Buffet, a feast for those, like me, curious about who helped the most successful among us succeed. Gabby Reece is a friend, and today's conversation made me so happy because she always takes the time to see things in me that I am not always seeing in myself. She's given me advice in the past that we talk about today, and I even learned things in real time on the podcast about my identity as an athlete, as a runner. And I know you're going to learn so much just by being around Gabby, because she is this abundant force of wisdom and good. This is my conversation with Gabby Reece. When I came to your house to do your show, and I was so happy when you were like, can I give you some advice? And I was like, yes. Because usually I'm like, can I have some advice? And you told me about makeup. And you said, and I've said it to you, I've repeated it to you, but you said to me, don't wear makeup for as long as possible. Just trust me. Just don't. Until you have to. Just don't wear it. And I was so taken aback because I want that kind of advice and no one's ever told me that. And then I followed it and I almost never wear makeup now. And I think about you all the time. And I really trusted that advice coming from you. So I think it does matter that it came from you. And I appreciated it.
Yeah. I think how old are you?
35.
Right. So I'm 20 years older than you are, right? So you do change a little as you get older, obviously. And sometimes I always say you want to have a place to go to. And if you just pull out all the stops early, you don't, get to take advantage of your natural sort of gift of being a little younger, healthy, vibrant, and really not needing it, And then as you do get older, especially if you're working in front of a camera or people go to an office, you have little moves that you can start to add, but it's not a departure. So all of a sudden you don't have to completely overhaul your appearance. It's still an extension of who you are. It's just a way to get a little more high polish, but that's a natural reflection of who you are. So I think people do that too early and they cover when they don't need to.
I love the idea of having somewhere to go.
Yeah.
But no one talks about it like that. And it's because most people are trying to go back with makeup.
Yeah, that's all. It's just a tool to go, I feel pretty good. And I'm putting forth a version of myself that represents also who I am, but also how I feel inside. And I think that's all it is.
What made you offer me that advice? Because it's also, to me, part of it was the advice was super cool. But part of it was that I feel like I've always had to ask for advice.
Well, I think as maybe a female that's a little older and I've been doing while I was doing sport, I was always doing public things. And so, for example, when I was quite young, okay, modeling, they're putting makeup on you. But when I used to shoot a show called MTV Sports, I never wore makeup. And for me, as an older woman, when I see someone like you who is very radiant and very healthy, I feel like that's what you're selling. You're selling love and playfulness and curiosity and hard work and all of these things that have so little to do with just how we look, that I wanted to encourage you to trust that as you maybe moved into these other realms, whether you're doing your films or you're here doing these shows and doing interviews. I didn't want you to feel like you had to get trapped into the line that a lot of times people would think, well, now I'm doing this. Should I, have a face full of makeup? Versus, oh no, this is who I am. I've had an interesting background that involved a skill I had to work hard to develop with a point of view and with the ability to be like, here I am. Because the more people that we can have out there doing that, especially women, I think is really important. And so you have it. Not everybody has that thing that they are selling, and you are one of them. So I was like, you know what? Trust that, because it might feel different than the way some of the other people are doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the right way to do it, is your way.
I am so grateful that you told me that, and like exactly then, because it was almost early that you told me that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I did start to be in these situations where I wasn't even conscious of it until you said it, that I was making choices. And it's almost like in life, you're in the woods and it's always a series of, do you go right or do you go left? Do you go right? Do you go left? And the more common way is maybe not the way that I've gone, maybe not the way you went, but it does take a certain bigger trust to believe that the different path is okay.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, I didn't plan on sitting here and talking to you about makeup, but like, I definitely have had moments where I'm like, is it okay to be kind of a little whatever in these situations? I don't know.
But in certain ways, you're not at all whatever, right? You're highly disciplined and you do all these other things. And so I think it's important, if you can represent your genuine, let's say the word authentic self, you're one of the perfect people who can do that with your message and your sort of your story and who you are. And I think it's important if you feel good, that it's important for people to see that and be like, wow, when I see her, that feels good. And what are the things I could do in my life that would really just represent me? And so, for example, the last time I saw you were at the photo shoot, they had eyelashes on you. Perfect.
I didn't have eyelashes.
Or they have mascara or something.
No, they were permed. So it was, they were curled.
So it was just something a little oomph. But
Yes.
it's a photo shoot.
Yes.
Time and a place. That was all.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
And when you were younger and you did, we have talked about just that you didn't wear, I don't want to like talk about the makeup thing, but did you feel like it was a time and a place where people weren't, or do you feel like you also made an intentional decision to not?
It was both, and it wasn't intentional. It just seemed really silly to be doing a show where I was going to be plunging down, out of a plane or up a mountain or in water, and then with a face full of makeup. It seemed sort of antithetical to what was really happening. What I was doing was real, so why not just be how you would be in that situation? But also, it was a time of a lot less makeup. This day and age, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't seem scared. Like we talked outside before this that you said people they can't make decisions from a place of fear.
Mm.
And that's something that seems simple enough and seems true enough. But to actually like live your life not from a place of fear feels like an uphill battle for most people. For me too.
Me too.
Is it?
Sure. Yeah. I think like so many people, I had a very unconventional childhood. I didn't always live with my parents. My dad died when I was 5. And so I was bounced around quite a bit early. And so that put an inherent hypervigilance into my personality, which that comes from fear. So a lot of my success comes from that hypervigilance. Mm-hmm. But one of the great things is I was raised for the majority of my developing years in the Caribbean on an island. So almost outside the system. So I didn't have the message on me all the time about what we're supposed to do or what you should do. And what that did was it gave me the opportunity to have distance, to look at things and go, well, what is going on here? How do I think and feel? And not just take orders or do status quo, and trusting myself. So I made decisions even very early at 18 and 19 that were really based on, well, what do I want and what do I think? Even if I have a feeling of like, I've got to pull it. There's no backup. And for example, when I started modeling, I started making a lot of money. I was a sophomore in college on a scholarship. My accountant in New York is like, why are you playing this volleyball thing? Because I would disappear for 6 months to play at Florida State. And in my mind, I kept thinking, yeah, but the playing is what makes me happy. And the playing is what makes me who I am. And so I found a way to balance it and do it sort of my way. So it isn't a question that I was never afraid. I still have it a lot less. And then listen, it's about building a community. So I was fortunate. I met Laird at 25. So then now what I have is, so the formula worked well from 18 to 25, right? My business went well. Things worked out in my favor based on my decisions, based on my instincts about me and my life. But then I married somebody who really kind of does the same thing. And so it creates a good closed loop on the moments that you sort of go, maybe I should do it this way. You have this person there in your corner who is a great example of trusting yourself, trusting the universe, and it being okay.
It's like a climate that you were in almost with Laird.
Yeah.
Because you're your own individual self doing your own stuff in the world, and so is he. But you guys are in the same climate. You're feeling the same temperature, and you're moving at the same pace. It's a vibration to be in a partnership, but also a community that is like able to think like you.
Yeah. That's why it's important to have friends that really know you and know, this thing over here would really make my friend feel fulfilled and happy. So when you're battling that, oh, should I go for it? Should I start a podcast? Should I do a film? That you have a friend that's like, yeah, that's great. We all need, just sometimes when we look back, they go, you got it. Because sometimes taking that other path is harder. You cut the path as you go. You don't know where the path leads, but you just feel so strongly like this is my thing. But I think very, very few people can do it without just that one person when you look over and they go, yeah.
Yeah. And okay, there's two things that I'm like interested in here. One is talking about the feeling of your own instinct and your own gut, because you said that was something that you followed and it got you where you were. And I think some people might be like, what is that? If it's a quiet voice for them, or they don't even know what it is, or they can't hear it because it's either, it could be overwhelmed by fear, or they could never have nurtured it, or whatever. And then I also want to talk about the relationship with Laird, if he is that person for you, and how you guys more specifically, or your friend, whoever it is that's been that, go do that thing. Can we talk about that relationship a little more? Because this is almost mentorship with your peer. And that is something that we can all hope for ourselves.
Yeah. I think, listen, on the instinct side, because I didn't have great guidance early, I learned that I needed to assess things. And I'm talking at, 5, 6 years old. I would look and be like, how do I feel about that person? I wasn't looking for the outside world to tell me, oh, you should like them, you shouldn't. I just started assessing things and trusting that. And then what happened is it would lead me towards really good people. So for example, when I moved my junior year from the Caribbean to Florida, the next boyfriend I chose was still a friend of mine, was a really important and good influence on me before I launched at 17 into the world. I had a basketball coach that I leaned into because I knew he had my best interest as a person. And so I would just lean into those relationships that I knew those people were looking out for me. So if you say to me, hey, people have never developed that voice, okay, fair enough, because the world is loud. we get a form, normally indoctrination in our home, right? It makes a lot of sense. And what I would say to them is, I think something like the importance of meditation or going for walks alone, doesn't have to be long walks, doesn't have to be, 6 days a week, but just finding those pockets where you just are open to hear the voice, because the voice wants to talk to us, but we just have to make space for our inner wisdom, because that's what connects us, I believe, not only to our purpose and our path, but to, if there is a greater, God and universe, to hear that voice clearly. And people can name it whatever they want. I'm not saying, hey, call it this or that, but just being open and then saying, once it comes to you a couple times, because it does usually, right? It'll come in a dream and then it'll be like, I should go there. And maybe, why am I friends with that person? Or whatever the things are. If it keeps showing up, you got to act. That's the other side of it. You have to have the courage to go, I'm going to go for that. And I don't mean, somebody separated this differentiating point for me that I think is super important for people: manifestation and visualization, right? I interviewed a young lady named Maya. She wrote a book about visualization. And I think sometimes we get then too dreamy or whimsical about the voice instead of going, cool, what's the scaffolding? What's the framework? What are the steps? What is the plan, the strategy that I build around that? Not just thinking, well, I heard it, now it's going to happen. That's not the way it goes. So it's a double-sided. It's sort of, I believe, highly spiritual, and then we're living in this world.
Yes, it's like the voice. I always call it like your North Star, like where you're headed is like a feeling. It's more like, it's like the cloud. You can't quite grab it and you can move toward it forever. But it seems like the piece you're talking about is like the things you're actually doing in your life are scaffolding and physical, even if you're moving toward feeling or value, right? Yes. And the cool thing about that too is that if an opportunity gets taken away, you can just keep building. There's always another way to move toward that feeling or that the voice, the North Star, right? And you're right that it does take action. And that's the distinction you're drawing here, is that it won't just happen. There is a level of discipline that needs to be paired with that calling or that voice.
Yeah. It's first things first. So it's really letting the voice give you the sense of the direction or the North Star, and then being practical and going, okay, who am I? What am I good at? And what would be my first steps? So even like I say, when I get out of bed every day, I sort of have a sense, let's just call it the sense of who am I trying to show up in the world as, whether it's as a partner or a mother or a business person or as a human being. Who is that? Who is she? And then how does she behave? What are her habits? What is she eating? What is she thinking? How is she responding? Because I can't just show up and do it naturally. It's not possible. I'm a normal, scared human being who feels lazy at times, who wants to react and tell people, to suck it. And that's not really going to be productive. So it's using that template to also incorporate the discipline that when I want to zig, but I should zag, that I zag. And I have that opportunity. But I make the deal with myself, not, well, the world's telling you to do this and be that. That's not who the deal is with. The deal is with myself and the commitment to this person in all their expressions. Who is this person trying to be? And making sure that my actions, thoughts, habits are congruent with that. And that takes a ton of discipline.
And it seems like it can change day to day. Like you're saying, today you might wake up and say, today I'm a mother right now. And you get into sort of I know they're all the same person, but it feels like you can be more intentional.
Well, you can play with the dials. So I think it's sort of, you hope that it's sort of like in my business, I'm trying to be hardworking. I'm trying to be a good partner to my partners. I'm trying to be professional. I'm trying to stay curious. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to upskill. all these things. Well, guess what? I'm trying to do that as a mom too. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe I wake up one day and I go, you know what? I need to be a little tougher and more direct in my business, but I need to be a little more loving and I need to listen more as a mother. So these are just dials that you play with. But really, if you look at all of them, they have a harmony.
Mm-hmm.
There's themes that are pretty consistent, but then you can go, okay, within that, I'm going to turn some dials.
Is it between activities? Is it why you don't mind driving? Because you get space between things?
Yeah.
When does it happen?
It's kind of all day long.
Okay.
Because it's in the moment that you're alone in the shower, you're walking and maybe you're looking at the sun and the reflection off the plants and you're seeing things and you're being reminded by your environment, what could be different? What could be better? How could I be better?
Yeah.
What do you need to work on? And it's sort of like living prayer.
Yeah.
And if you do it, it becomes a constant habit. You can cut vegetables and be in this state.
Yeah.
And using that all the time to stay on top of it, because it's very easy to get lazy or to let it overcome you. But if you have these small little check-ins with yourself, I think it becomes so fluid and easy. It doesn't become such work. You just go, oh, I got to be better there. Oh, no, fix this.
Yeah.
It becomes much easier, more automatic. The gear shifting becomes pretty quick.
And then how freeing, because then I'm someone who can shift, because I feel like there's also something so kind about saying I can constantly, even throughout one day, even in an hour, I can shift dials and change the course of my day, which will change the course of my life in the zoomed out sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's not only a discipline that is, helpful, but it's a meditation that makes you unstuck always. You're always able to evolve and adapt.
Yeah.
Today, I want to share with you about my new favorite Merrell shoe, the Hut Mach 2 Slide Cozy, which are my go-to for fall and winter. I love these shoes especially for walking my dog Bernini because they're warm, they have grip on the bottom, and I can slide into them really quickly and then run out the door as I chase her down the street, which often happens. They're warm, and you can wear them with socks, but you don't have to, because they have cozy inside them. And my favorite thing to wear them with are sweatpants. These shoes are also good for the grocery store, getting your mail, and even wearing inside sometimes. I recommend getting a pair for your partner though, because they're probably gonna steal yours. For over 40 years, Merrell has been a global leader in hike. For a limited time, we're partnering with Merrell to give you an exclusive offer of 25% off your first purchase using code MentorBuffet25 when you check out on Merrell.com.
I really like the idea of how trees exist in the way that the root's pretty deep and solid. So your root is your values and your wants and, the relationships you have and really your character, like who you're really wanting to be as a person for real, behind closed doors, just you in the mirror brushing your teeth. But then as you move up, the leaves, they have a flexibility. The branches, they move with the wind. They reach up to the sun. They close down if it's, time to rest and sleep. And by the way, the tree can go high and wide. It doesn't have to be stuck by the roots, but you need the roots. And I put discipline in as part of as the roots, because you'll see a lot of people go like, I want to do this and I want to do that. But they haven't built those roots to help them, especially when things get hard, when it'd just be easy to be like, okay, whatever, or I'll do what you want, or I'm not going to fight this fight. It's like, no, the roots give you that place to lock into, to go, okay, this is going to be challenging. And I have the fortitude because I do believe in this. I'm going to be able to handle it. And then let's say over here in relationships or parenting, it's like, oh yeah, I can just kind of roll. I joke often that I would like to be like a palm or a coconut tree. When the hurricane comes, right, the coconut lays down because the wind lays it down. And then when it's all over, stands back up. And trees that are rigid, things snap and break and you're not really of use. And my whole thing too is I'm trying to be there, not only for myself first, but for all of the people in my life and for the things I'm in pursuit of.
I was going to ask if when you say, I want to be more gentle, for example, if you have like a person you imitate or what, because I'm always like, be more like this because I don't have it innate. I don't have it. I have it, but it's something to develop too.
Me too.
But then you're drawing this comparison to nature. And so I'm like, are you someone who imitates or emulates people or more nature?
I have friends that love to do like, and you would be one of them probably, crafts with their children. I don't want to do crafts. Okay. I just don't. And no matter how loving and passionate I am about, I just didn't. So what I understood was, oh, that doesn't come natural to me.
Mm-hmm.
But in this moment, this feels important to do with them. But I never would emulate to the degree that I had other friends that did it. And I would look at it and I'd be like, that's pretty badass. And I'm not that kind of mother. So I think still within it, I'm still coming to the dynamics and the relationship as the best version of myself in that role, but also who I really am.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I can offer my children.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I don't emulate people because they do that so well.
Mm-hmm.
I have a better shot of saying, what about that looks important that I could sort of incorporate a piece of that in the way that I do things to do that better.
Yeah, it's like, I want to say, it's like seasoning on meat. If you're the meat,
Yeah.
It's so disgusting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're the thing.
Yeah.
This is so gross. I don't want
Is
to
it?
use this. Well, I'm like calling you like a chicken leg and then being like, but if you add that
Call me a
seasoning-
steak then.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Free, like an elk that was, killed in the wild. There we go.
Oh, that's cool though. That's helpful because it's basically saying like, what about that? It's almost like if you walk through someone else's perfume, what does it smell like on you? But it's you.
Yeah, the chemistry is different. And you think,
yeah.
oh, I like that on them.
Yes.
Yeah. I think appreciating other people and what they seem to be more naturally good at is a great skill to continue to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Because if something lands and you think, that could be something that's important, versus also just fully appreciating someone and being like, and that has nothing to do with me.
Right. It's more admiring than it is like taking and adopting from everybody.
Right. But if there is a concept or a principle, something that they're doing that you go, I should listen, I should pay attention, that's important.
Do you have moments like that you can think of?
Yes, I have moments like that often. I think the most obvious has been in parenting with my children, especially when they became teenagers, being like, there's a lot of things you're doing that are pretty good. And there's a lot of things you're going to have to switch up here because you don't have the tools. I had a friend of mine, Byron Katie, say to me, it's like you have a hammer and you're like, my hammer has served me well through walls, hammer down, hammer, about the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, but like in this relationship with your children, think of it as now you're washing the windows. You're not going to use your hammer. You need a new tool. And so I learned to develop some tools where there was more room for people to go through what they needed to go through, for me to listen more, for me to worry less, for me to observe and not get attached to every stage and phase that they went through as a doomsday, like this is how they're going to be.
Right. Because
as we're growing and developing, we have to explore and do all these things. And it does, going back to Laird, it is helpful to have a partner who spends time in nature, because I think people that spend time in nature have a better relationship with this. And the reminder of like, yes, this too is a part of the story, but it's not, it's a page in the chapter, in the book. It's not the end.
And it's not forever, and it's natural.
Yeah. And that's hard because you don't have objectivity when it comes to your kids. I'm very good about being objective about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And then I had to learn, and I still learn. I fail all the time on letting it be.
How do you feel about the word failure?
Failure?
Yeah.
I think that's, to me, is the same as breathing, is the same as success, is the same as all of it. Failure is another word that is part of being a human. It doesn't bother me at all. I failed a ton. I try to go and understand what I was meant to learn from the failure. I've learned that I'm a stronger person because of the failure. We don't learn anything in the winning. You know that. We learn always in the failure. We don't change our program or our training because we won. We change because we failed. And so same with injury, same with frayed relationships. All of these are for us cues to go, well, that didn't work. What should I change and adapt? Because otherwise we're not really paying attention. And then we're just going to keep repeating. And one thing I really want to do is make new mistakes. I really get irritated with myself when I go, really? You're doing that same thing?
Right.
So I think it's taking failure and being like, all right.
When you make a new mistake, there's the choice to just be like, how could I not have? Because basically a new mistake is a new thing you realize you didn't know. And you can feel really, really dumb the moment you realize you didn't know something and you did something that you should have known, but you really shouldn't have known it because you didn't.
Right.
And so to say like you champion your new mistakes, yeah, it's cool.
It's the next grade. That's all it is. It's a building upon. It's like we have that opportunity our whole lives. And because it is scary or it's hard to say I was wrong or I'm sorry, that one's hard for me. I'm sorry is very hard for me. I've learned that these are graduations. So it's really sometimes new failures are just a sign of progress. Like, oh, cool, you've moved up to the next place you can fail.
Yeah.
And that's how it works because you can't know.
Right. Because
you haven't been in there. You haven't been in that situation. You haven't been in that dynamic. How you can't hit it. You can't hit it right away. The only way is to start failing.
Yeah. That makes me feel better about my race I dropped out of this past weekend.
Why'd you drop out?
Oh man, I ran an 100K race in Arizona. It was very, very hot. And I took a pre-race thing that my friend who's a bronze medalist recommended to me for the first time.
Oh, got you jacked up? And you felt good right in the beginning?
I felt really good. It makes your pH really basic. And then I started throwing up blood because it can tear your stomach lining. I didn't know.
Oh, they didn't tell you that part?
It'll
make you fast, but you might puke blood.
It makes you fast, but you might. I think if you go too far, it has to do with lactic acid. I got pulled because I think it can be dangerous to throw up blood and try to run 30 more miles. But I felt that I could have finished very, very slowly. Like I felt I could have walked, jogged. I felt I could have finished it. But I had this feeling inside me also, in addition to being medically pulled, that I had already learned that lesson when I ran the Leadville 100 miler, that I could do anything. And if I'm being really honest with you, I felt that it would have been a repeated lesson that you can do anything. And this was 40 miles shorter. Because in Leadville, I was like, no, I don't know if I can really do this. And I had to walk the last 40 miles, walk through the night. It was crazy. It was at 13,000 feet. This one felt like I could have done it, but that I have already done something that was even harder. And I don't know if that's a lame thing to say because I know every race is different, but I had this weird cellular feeling. And I tried to talk to my mom because I do that during hard moments where I'm like, hey, are you there? And she was like, I'm here. But she wasn't like, this is your thing. Like, keep going. She was just like, yeah. It was almost like she was bored. But I wasn't bored. The race was amazing. It was just the lesson that I would have learned once the tide turned was not a new lesson. It felt. Yeah.
And let me add 2 points to that.
Yeah.
So I think in situations, and athletic is so concrete, I am a long game player. So I think we have to play the immediate game and the long game. And if in that moment also, besides you've learned the lesson, if you're playing the long game, which is your health, I think it just shows intelligence and you're not operating from ego, but you're operating from a better place in that instance, right? Like if it was the last 100 yards of a race and it's close and you think if I push a little more, I might hurt my knee a bit, but I'm going to win. Okay, that's a short term, but it makes sense because they're sort of in a capsule and that's also part of sport. Okay. But if you're talking about, I have 40 more miles And I've learned some things, but in the long run, this doesn't feel like something that's actually going to be good for me.
Yeah.
That's so important to distinguish when to use that grit, the ego to get us through when it's really hard and when it's actually foolish. We as athletes or people who have titles or do whatever, it is interwoven to our identity. It's very, very natural.
Yeah.
And it's so easy. And that's why it's important to go back to your rules, right? So I have it differently now, right? I'm at a place though, if I showed up and I wasn't fit, let's say, that would not be good for my job. The expectation is I'm pretty fit.
Right.
So a couple things on that. My training is set up in a way that I can do it forever.
Uh-huh.
And most likely, if I do some of the right things, the byproduct is I'll be pretty fit. But I still keep things first. I'm trying to make decisions and do things from an inspired place, not from my old fuel, which was from a survival place.
Mm-hmm.
So now, for example, you're known for running and you do all these things and whatever. I think that has its place, but if you think it's going to be the same as it was 5 years ago, maybe that's not fair to you. Maybe as you're changing and growing, you can change the environment in which you're doing that in, as long as it feels good and right to you. But you have to be able to quiet it and separate and go, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? Is this good for me? Do I need to do this? Do I want to do this? And make sure that those are staying lined up. Because at the end of the day, one thing I've learned is even the best person in the world, highest achieving world champion, gold medalist, whatever, it is so hard to separate from those identities versus Laird says this all the time. I'm Laird. One of the things I do is I surf. So one of the things you do is run, but you're not a runner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like your playground.
But even in the moment, like athletes right now playing in the NBA, yes, and they do it at a high level. And yes, that's what pays their bills. But still at the end of the day, we are just who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And these things are extensions. So we can define them as we go. They don't have to stay the same. And so being honest with yourself, and there might come a time where you go, hey man, I'm feeling good. I'm healthy. I'm going to do this because it's for me and it's a great challenge. And yes, of course, I'm aware it's going to also help the other things I'm involved with, the other businesses I'm involved with, etc. But to let it lead, sometimes it can get us in a bad situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I appreciate this. And it seems to be part of that meditation that you're talking about, to remind yourself of that all the time, because most people they don't talk like that. So to keep changing the sentence structure to I'm someone who runs instead of I'm a runner, it's the uncommon path just in how we talk.
Yes.
You know,
I mean, to get woo-woo, and it's kind of funny because, to know me is to know like I'm very left-brained, linear, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have come to really appreciate is we're like our essence. So it's even separating from you're a woman, you're all these things that we put titles on. It's like tapping into the essence, to the spirit of who we are, because that guides us continuously to places that then represent who we are, who the essence is today.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times people will say to me, well, how do you keep shifting and changing? And I'm like, I'm not. This is just an extension of what things interest me, where I want to go, how I want to show up in the world. And you sort of realize, like, lo and behold, that really does solve a lot of problems, instead of trying to go back. Because no matter who we are, all of it is unsustainable.
Yeah. Yeah, you're almost suggesting that we take more opportunities to decontextualize ourselves and be in like the absolute present, meaning like forget who you were.
It's over.
Forget all of it and just kind of observe and like and drop into yourself in the moment right here, right now. And we don't do it often because context gives us a lot, right? Context gives you gratitude because you know where you came from. It gives you perspective, like it gives you so much. But what it doesn't give you is the opportunity to, in a moment, be like, actually, I'm someone who walks like this now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't change as easily because context is heavy.
Yeah.
Right?
Context could be used as Ryan Holiday talked about this, proof of concept. So you're in a new endeavor and you think, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, you could use your past as a proof of concept that I've been in situations that I didn't know how to do something and I figured it out. Take that with you. So take that into an unknown situation. Like, I don't know, but I do know I'm a person who can at least try to figure something out. That's helpful.
Right.
And there's things I've brought from 7-year-old Gabby and 20-year-old Gabby and 40-year-old Gabby to today, but it's only because that's still a part of the essence. It isn't because, well, that's what people are expecting. It
just still is here.
It's in there. It's, it's whatever that is. So I think it's not about abandoning it, but it's just being like, oh, is that still part of what the story that I'm in pursuit of or what I'm feeling today or what feels important to me? Mm-hmm. And so I think bringing that is good because it gives us also the opportunity to become more of who we're meant to be, because that gets shut down when we're young. For a myriad of reasons, right? Even just going to school would kind of smush some of that. Mm-hmm. And I think the opportunity to sort of uncover that more and more as you get older is a really fun thing to try to do.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It breaks the idea that time is just like linear as well. Like it's, I mean, it is, but it.
Here it is. But, I think there's a lot of mystery that isn't maybe for us to worry about, but is also to liberate us from, oh, I'm this.
Right.
And, I remember when somebody explained to me, I don't know how many years ago, like, it looks like a table, it feels like a table, but it's just a bunch of vibrating molecules. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, this is all not what I think it is. And my brain has to work a certain way because I am in a 3D world. But ultimately, there's so many, bigger things. And why would I not, in this one short life, try to mix both worlds together so that I can tie my shoes and make sure dinner's out for the kids and, pick them up from school and pay bills, but also expand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're like, why not let it be true? Even if I can't like solve for an equation on paper as to why that is true.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so thirsty. If you're thirsty too, you can have a non-alcoholic beer with me. I've been drinking non-alcoholic ever since I was 5. Sorry, that was a lie. I'm not going to lie to you. I do drink, okay? The truth is that I drink sometimes, but last time I drank a lot was with my friends and I was like, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm trying to run more. I have a race this fall, so I'm drinking Go Brewing exclusively. I'm not even kidding. This chilada is so good. And you can get 15% off your order, which it can include this. You can get whatever you want. They're all good. If you go to gobrewing.com/Alexi and you can go dry with me. Let's talk about that mentorship that you have with Laird. Anything about this, because I think it's so cool and it's so important and some people are looking for it.
The number one word that gets described when people meet me or know me a little bit, not my deep friends, but people who meet me, the number one word people use is grounded, which is good and which has its other side, right? So you have to understand, I come to all of this from a highly sort of, I'm trying to be almost less grounded because that is my nature, right?
What's grounded then?
It's just, there's a part of me that's sort of non-wavering. The joke is I'm a Capricorn. Like there's just some things built into my hardwiring that is step by step. Laird says it's like a sterno light. It's on. It never goes off. It doesn't go high and low. It's just so constant.
Composure.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. But it's just a different mechanism, but it can also be a prison. So I think all of us have traits that we have to also navigate when we talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I'm trying to do is stay clear about the things that are important. So my values. And then being open to a lot of other things. And I'm pretty non-wavering on the values part. So when it comes to the peer-to-peer mentoring, I'm also really selective on who I would kind of take that from.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I had really important coaches. But even the way they mentored me still felt across the table. It didn't feel like they were talking down to me. It felt like they were suggesting ideas. My coach from college used to talk a lot about accountability, but it was never like, you should be da-da-da. It was like, these feel like important qualities. And I remember thinking, oh yes, personal accountability seems to be something to really dive into and hold on to and build. And so what I have in this peer-to-peer, it isn't one person telling another. It's that you're holding space for one another to safely maybe share your fears, doubts, let your ego even be like, this person did this and I want to show them. And the other person knowing who you want to be. This is the important thing. If I was going to be someone for you, I might hold a different space for you than another friend of mine who has different wants and needs. So really important is that whoever is in this space with you or you're doing for them, you're genuinely trying to understand what they want. You try to get rid of your filter.
Right.
Because a lot of people can't see anything out of their own filter.
Right. What they would have wanted or what
this is the way I would do it.
Right.
Well, no, what would be the way you would do it? And so how could I hold space or guide the conversation to get you to work it out towards the direction that I know is what you want and is best for you based on all the things I know about you and that you've shared with me. So I think there's a really important thing that has to happen in a peer-to-peer kind of mentorship, which is the ability to be objective and hold space, to listen, to say very little unless asked. I think it's so important to be somebody who, I have a friend, Elijah, who I will say, blah, 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 blah. And he'll go, yeah, but I didn't hear a question in there. So sometimes not even being somebody who puts your opinion on something unless one, it's urgent, or two, you've been asked.
Oh, that's really good.
So it's different than you think. It's not someone there going, let me tell you. It's the person or being the person who holds space and understanding of who the person is and trying your best to see it through their eyes, their life, their hopes and dreams. And then how could you guide the conversation to help this person navigate this choice, decision, or reaction? And so it's different than I know. It's hardly ever that because we're not them. And they're not me. And in my case, like with Laird, for example, sometimes it's just his example, his ability, his conviction, his pursuit, his relentlessness is a constant mentor back to me to that recommitment, to not let fear run me, to take stock in what am I spending too much time on that maybe I should not be spending too much time on. So for example, Laird will say to me, some days, like we'll have stacked work weeks and I'm more of the detail person. So I'm buried in this a lot more than he is. And this is on purpose. I'm better at it. And my whole thing is I want Laird to be as free as possible because that is Laird's magic. Laird's creativity, Laird's perspective comes from being in pursuit, right? And if some major something happens, Laird's the first person to step in. Those are the roles. But there'll be days where we've had stacked up and Laird will just say to me, is this what we're doing with our time and our lives? We're answering emails. Now, it may not be mentorship, but it kind of is. Because I'm like, oh yeah, this could go on forever. And I'm missing a sunset or just a moment with somebody who's really important to me. So sometimes it shows up like that. So it's having people you trust and being really deliberate when you talk to them about something that's really on your mind, not just going, blah, 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 I got this thing. You'll be like, hey, can I vent for a minute? So I even will set the table for them to know, like, hey, we're switching gears now, and I need you to hear me, and then look for that feedback or that reference, which ultimately pushes me back to my inner voice that probably knows, but I just needed the confirmation. Because if you're checking in with yourself, seldom do you need a kick in the ass. Seldom. Because you kind of have the answer. You know if you need to do something different. You need to know if a situation isn't working out at work and you need to get into an uncomfortable conversation with somebody. You already know, and sometimes you just need that other trusted reference to go, yeah, I don't think that's working.
Does it give you some sort of feeling that you're not alone? Like, what is it? Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, if you know the right things to do, or you could do this on your own, why is it sometimes more fun? Or why does life feel like it has more meaning when somebody's kind of right next to you, even though you're living your own life, whether it's a friend or a partner?
That's how we're set up. That's why I always encourage people to understand their biology. You know, I think like, so, you know, I'm interested in the quest of wellness, and not like, oh, be a super athlete. I'm just interested in people feeling good. That excites me if they could figure out a practice and like feel pretty good.
Yeah.
And the reality is that we are hardwired. That's why I like people to understand their biology. When food comes in front of you, the impulse to overeat it, that's actually connected to your biology. Okay, so why would you beat yourself up and go, what's wrong with me? Why would I want to do that? It's like, well, no, that's kind of set up. Oh, you're sitting on the couch. You don't actually want to get up and train. That too is connected to your biology. We need each other. Cooperation is a part of survival. The notion of 1 and 1 equals 3 is a real thing. My nervous system regulates your nervous system. Your nervous system regulates my nervous system. These things are all connected. We are social creatures. So, you know, there are times that I'm, you know, with a friend, and just a 30-second hug, that downregulating, that syncing up with another person, we're not really doing too much else here. We've made it so complicated. I've made it complicated. I'm in pursuit of this and that. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's about the relationship with ourselves, with each other, and with the world that we're in. It isn't really about all of these accomplishments. These are environments to help us learn, and like school classrooms that we can put ourselves in to polish the stone. But at the end of the day, it is really about these relationships and loving each other and being there for each other.
So awesome.
The other stuff is just stuff to do.
Yeah, yeah.
The running wasn't about running. The running was all the things that you got to learn about yourself and all the situations you got to be put in to learn those lessons and to have those relationships with coaches or teammates or opponents for that matter. And so one thing is clear to me always. The other stuff is like icing, but we need each other, and we need to make each other better, and we need to be there for each other. And so that's always really, really clear for me.
That makes a lot of like surface level fears go away too. Like, because a lot of the stuff that we are preoccupied with doesn't disrupt that core value.
But you have to get there, right? Like in your teens and 20s, it should be about you. I tell my daughters all the time, great if you can have meaningful relationships, but you actually first have to understand yourself.
Well, that's awesome. You told them that. That's amazing.
Well, you need to. You need to be selfish and be like, what do I like? Who am I? How do I want to show up in the world? You need that time. So if you're in your 20s or even early 30s for that matter, this is just something to ponder. It doesn't mean to be there right now. I think as you get older, it becomes evident. I interviewed a gentleman who, Robert Waldinger. He's the head of the Harvard happiness study. He's the fourth head of the study. It's the oldest study
I thought you were going to be like, he's the fourth happiest person in the
No,
world.
they've measured that. No, it's a happiness study they did at Harvard. It's very famous. And basically it comes down to meaningful relationships, right? You feel like you have someone to call. And they studied a group of men. Some were presidents, some were billionaires, some lost everything, some were street kids that became successful. You name it. They interviewed the wives, the children, and so forth. They took their blood, da-da-da-da-da. So I said to him, listen, we could read Lao Tzu, we could read the Bible, we have all the answers. Why is it we don't just do it? And he just said to me really simply, he's like, Gabby, that's how you get wisdom. And so I think it's so important also to give yourself permission to bang around, because you have to know the thing for yourself, not because a mentor told you. Now, maybe they led from the side and the front or the back during that time for you, and then it dawned on you later. And that's important. But I think it's also super important to bang around, to get knocked around and be like, well, let's see.
Yeah.
Because that goes back again to your life, your relationships, your practice, all of it. So I would never say this in a suggestion to someone to go jump on it right now. It's just food for thought.
Yes. It's really that there's no shortcuts, right? Like you can be given this wisdom and advice. I've been thinking a lot about shortcuts lately because taking a shortcut of in any way, right, is you think it's, if you can take the shortcut, you get there faster, it's good. But what you lose is you lose everything, because the shortcut is like truncating the process, which is what makes you sturdy. And I don't know, I think about us as like these dense creatures, and the more wisdom you have is like the denser you are, which density is confidence, it's wisdom, it's also happiness. Like the journey is an earned, like the joy is this earned thing.
People trust everybody or all the things that are thrown at them, that the world is throwing at them continuously, instead of, having that sovereignty to go, this is my life. Who am I? And because I'm not good at things that you're good at. And I could try to be better at those things, but my natural inclinations, giving yourself permission to explore those and say, can I put them forth into the world? Could I contribute those? Would that be a fun way for me to express myself? So I think it's really important. And if you're going to have good mentors, they're going to take all of that into consideration.
Right.
There's certain things that they're always going to be willing to tell you the truth. And some things are forever and always true, right? Like the truth, the notion of don't lie, that's probably not going to change. Choosing kindness over other is usually going to put you in a better place. Discipline on some level is probably going to support you better than other. So I think there's some universal truths, but a good mentor is also going to say, yes, but who am I looking at? What's their essence about? And how could I help them? Now, if you said, hey, Gabby, what was your experience? That's different. But if you said like, well, what do you see? Or based on me, is there a blind spot right now?
Yeah. So like the makeup thing, do you not just tell everyone that?
No. Everyone's not you.
That's a whole revelation. I just thought it was like, this is what Gabby likes to make sure she shares with younger women.
No.
I didn't know that.
I've never said that to anyone ever.
That's awesome. So I feel very seen, and it really uniquely helped me, but I didn't know that you were so intentional because it was me.
But that goes back to instinct. If I ever say something to somebody, sometimes it's just something that gets whispered to me, that it's like, hey, if it's encouraging, you could drop that off at their feet.
Yeah.
I never ever want to tell people, very seldom, unless I'm coaching in the pool or something and it's sort of very specific. I never am, it's sort of funny because in some ways I'm very bossy and then in other ways not at all. But it's just got to be the space. Like, oh, okay, am I in charge of this space that we're doing something that either you could get hurt or we're trying to accomplish something? Okay, then I might be very directive. But everywhere else, I just want to consider the person.
But that's so thoughtful. There are so many people who are like the way that they're oriented with sharing their wisdom is just that whatever they know they want to share, instead of having this intention that you have of like, I want to help the people that I'm seeing right in front of me that I care about enough to actually see.
I think it comes from sports. I think it comes from seeing coaches. Man, a good coach does that automatically.
Right.
You got one athlete, you kick him in the ass. You have one, you got to leave him alone because they're already so intense. You have another one that's like a little scared and you just go like, hey, you got this.
Yeah.
A good coach senses how to get in there and support people exactly where they're at and what they need, because the goal is like, hey, we all want to be successful. So what do I need to do to help participate in that happening? And I think that's true even in life. If like the goal is like for you to live a better life and to feel good and be happy and trust yourself, how can I be a person in your life that is facilitating that? And everybody speaks a different language.
Yeah, that's awesome. That feels so, so true. And it does characterize the best teams and the best coaches. And it's a great way to, I think, also release your own frustration as to why what helps you doesn't help your best friend. You know, I think some people are so like, why can't I get through to the, and it's like, well, maybe you're doing it the way it would help you.
Yeah. You know, I have one friend in particular, and if she heard this, she'd know it's her. You know, she's very emotional. And I've been friends with her a long time. And I stopped trying to solve the problems and I just listened and tried to be more loving because she isn't me. And her process and the way she does it isn't. And part of me also had to accept in some ways she doesn't actually want to make it better. Now, if she said to me, hey, what do you think? I would be direct. But it's also saying, I'm just going to hold space for this person. That their way they do it is actually, maybe they worry or maybe they do the thing. They don't actually really want to solve it. And you have that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Everywhere.
Definitely. And you're helping her though by, you know.
I just love her. But
yeah,
who would I go to as a reflection would be maybe a different person.
Right.
You know, sometimes when you're in these dynamics where you're sort of cross-mentoring one another. And for me, it usually is in business, like a pursuit that I want to take on. And I know it's a heavy lift or I'm not sure I'm able to do it. To have the confidence, I recently was going to create a new business with a friend of mine. I mentioned earlier, sometimes you just need to look over and a friend's like, yeah, like this is good. And you know, they wouldn't just say that. And so in this case, business is a large undertaking. I had some instincts about the other people we were going to do it with. And I talked to Laird about it. And it's funny because you'd think I'd be talking to Laird all along. I don't. And then sometimes I'll have an accumulation of experiences in this endeavor, and then I'll talk to him about it. It's almost like I'm at the place now where I really have to make a decision. So it just won't be constant. And I said, you know, I have some mixed feelings about this person, but there's some things over here that are really confirming to me that they are the right person, and to do it. And like I said, it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it's also giving myself permission to take on something that maybe we could be really successful, because I need to give myself that permission. I like to be successful, but not too successful. It's this weird thing I have.
Why?
I always equated when I was young, uber success with your real life going to shit. And the most important thing for me was my real life, my real relationships, my family. And now I've learned like that's silly, but it's just all I saw. Examples all around me of people who are really good at this one thing, but somehow the collateral damage seemed to be their family and relationships. Anyway, I was like, no, I want to step out. You know, step out. My youngest I took to college, step out from Laird, just step out and do this whole new thing. And Laird's like, all he said to me was, well, it seems like you've really thought about it and you can trust your instincts. And of course, why did I need Laird to say that? But it was Why not?
Yeah.
And it was helpful.
Yeah. Does it help at all when your partner or peer says, also validates that they see that you're being thoughtful? Because it's a big thing. Like, what I mean is, like, okay, he gave you the thumbs up to reflect that upon you, but also, isn't it when you're taking on something that could take up so much of your life, also, isn't it meaningful that it's clear to everyone around you that you're being thoughtful?
I think when somebody knows you so well, that means the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they still look at you and say, yeah, you can do this. You don't think you're pretending.
Right.
They know all your flaws and your garbage, and they still go, yeah,
right,
you can do it. Because that's what we're looking at.
Right.
We know what we're good and not good at. We're scared. We're not sure. So when somebody who knows pretty much all your ugly or your deficiencies, and they're like, yeah, you can do it. It just is a nice little kind of push into, even with my whole flawed self.
Yeah.
I can probably get this done.
I love that, because it's basically saying you're not trying to get away with anything. You're actually trying to have this person right in your body with you, with all the fear, anxiety, history, strengths, weaknesses, understanding that, because that's what you're really going through.
Yes.
That's what you're really carrying in these decision-making moments. And that's why these mentors are different than the ones that you are meeting in a book that don't know you, or the people that don't know you that well.
Yes. And that's why it's so important, because you know that they have your back, but they would tell you the truth. Yeah. And so what it does is the inner voice that's like, oh, why do you think you can do that? And oh, it's going to be hard and it's going to take a lot of time. And what about the relationship? Will Laird suffer? Because, it's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. They already have that dialogue too. They know. They've seen you.
Right.
And so it's really nice when someone who's super close to you says, you can do it.
Yeah. Yes, because they're accounting for all that.
Yeah. Or you really need to talk to them, or this isn't working.
Yep.
Because it's the truth.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is so true. That feels so true. And it feels like both types of mentorship are important, but that is a special one. And that's why it's so important. It knows as much as it could about the anxiety, the voices and everything.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important to be a really diligent mentor, cross mentor to somebody, because you have to be trustworthy.
Yes.
You have to be careful and gentle, but direct.
Yeah. And you need to be paying attention in the in-between moments, because that's like what leads to all.
Yeah.
That's what builds up in that big decision-making moment, is everything in between too.
Yeah. And the other caveat I will say is, let's say I have a friend that's going through something in work. Let's just say work, because it's more neutral. And I'm having a hard time in my work life, and they're about to go to the moon. I have to be able to separate.
And still be helpful to them.
And be their cheerleader.
Yeah.
Because it's really important who you choose, going back to the filter, that if they're in a thriving relationship and you're going through a breakup and their partner does something weird, that you don't just jump on the bandwagon because you're frustrated in your own life. So there's another whole other element to this, which is like, you are really for them.
Yeah.
And you choose people who are really for you.
Yeah. They can handle your good news and your bad news no matter what. And it's
right.
not a seesaw.
No.
It's never a seesaw.
Yeah. Well, because you just realize it's not what other people are going through, doesn't have anything in a way to do with you. Your success and failures and love and not love and all these things, this is just yours. And they're killing it or not killing it or whatever. It's a separate thing. And always to keep them separate, even with your partner.
Right.
Because there's times with your partner that like one of you is crushing it and one of you is kind of floundering in a certain way. And you got to get through those times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It happens. It just does.
It has to happen.
It's life.
Yeah. Oh, I loved that.
I want to just invite people to think about one thought.
Yeah.
Where you can make it easier, do it. I think a lot of people are walking around not participating in the ways that they can make it easier for themselves. And one thing I do a lot of is, how can I make this easy for myself? So for example, I joke, like if you train or work hard 20% harder up front, the tail's 80% easier. If I don't engage in like drama or gossip, I never am caught in like spending time putting out fires, right? So it's like, as you're moving through your life, how can you make it easier? If I just simply let another person go first, that isn't me being delayed by 2 seconds. I'm actually making my life easier. And so people don't realize they have so many opportunities to make it easier for themselves. And oftentimes that's also by making it easier for others, that you have so much more time and bandwidth to be in pursuit, to enjoy your life, and not to spend time on the things that end up being like an unnecessary annoyance. Mm-hmm. And so I will say that that is something I've leaned into for a lot of years, which is like, hey, do I have to work harder? Do I have to do more to make it easier for me? Absolutely. Oh, you're my partner or you're my business partner, but you're not going to do it. I'm not going to worry about that. You're not going to do it. If I do it, will this make it easier? Great. I'll do it because that's easier for me. Instead of like, oh, well, they should. Blah, blah. It's like, okay, no, let's just do it. So I think that that's something that, if you want to talk about mentoring, has really been an important guide for me, which is, what can I do? And people go, well, it's not fair. It's not about fair. How do I make it easier for me? And oftentimes it's like, solve it, do the extra, whatever. And then you build that muscle and it's no problem.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So I just want to invite people to think about that, because it's been very helpful.
That's a thing that you come into interaction with all the time, right? It's like
every moment
is, and it's interesting because there's an answer to the question of what's easier. Like there is a yes or no answer to the question always.
Yeah.
Because someone might be like, how do I make it easier? It's just like, just be in the moment. And whenever there's whatever it is to get to happen, a task,
just keep going. Just make it easier.
But make the decision that is easier, as long as it's not harmful to anyone.
Yeah. Like even if I go to the grocery store and someone's unpacking their thing and I know they're going to put their cart back and I'm 5 feet from them, I'll say, you want me to take it back for you? In a way, weirdly, that's still going to make my life better. Because it's efficient. It's like see and do.
Oh, it's like a muscle.
Yeah, you're just rolling. And that's in everything. And I think if people started to do that more instead of lean away from that stuff, it really does create an interesting slipstream everywhere you go.
I get this so hard now because it's like, it's this, I can see it like visually in my head.
That's what it is.
It's like a way to vibrate in the world. Yeah.
It's like, okay, laundry, 5 minutes, fold 4 t-shirts. Like just see, do, make it easier. Don't resist, don't fight, it's too much energy. If you think in your mind like, oh, I should make my partner lunch, but I don't really want to, just do it. Yeah. Like it's easier. Make it easier. Make it easier for everyone and for yourself. And it really works.
Okay, I can't wait to do this more. And thank you for telling me
that. And you can be like, I don't want to, I don't feel like, blah, blah, blah. That's okay. And then do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you open the fridge one day, you got, your next Zoom is in 3 minutes and you look at the fridge and you go, it's kind of a mess. Great, clean it, do it right then.
Yeah.
Like everything you can do to make it easier.
Yep. And it is kind of that like ecosystem that you're in.
All of it.
Yeah.
For people you know and people you don't know, and for yourself.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's easier.
If you're enjoying Mentor Buffet, follow Voicing Change for more inspirational and truly life-affirming content from shows like Soul Boom, The Proof, Feel Better, Live More, and the Rich Roll podcast. Just go to voicingchange.media. That's voicingchange.media for a beautiful selection of productive and positive shows.